Greetings, folks. On this fine day or evening, I would like to show you a project I just put together that uses machine learning, HTML, JavaScript, and Node.js to essentially, and a circuit board and a Arduino Nano to basically create like a pose-based lock system, but I'm just using lights, and you could just hook this up to an actuator. You could hook it up to like an actuator to open a door or whatever. But I'm just using light bulbs. And essentially what this thing does is it will read when you strike the proper pose, then it will turn on the activation light. So I'll show you how this works right now.
Alright, so what we got here is our little Arduino guy. As you can see, I'm somehow activating the thing. We got this guy, this is the red light, this means it is not on or activated. We got our ground, super simple circuit. Not really a circuit if we're being honest, just two light bulbs connected to some of the pins on the LED. If we come over to here, we've got the real ordeal. So right here, I just set up this web page. I got two viewing camera views right here. This one is essentially the actual one, which shows like, oh, hey, here's your guy, here's the pose that you're striking. These are all the trackers that map your pose. And then this is just a freaking regular camera. I could honestly get rid of this, but it's here now. You got a start button, but I've already started it, so, it's going. Right here you see it says a valid pose. This is not the valid pose. This is just me standing this angle. I think it's just an edge case that I didn't account for when training my model. I accounted for most edge cases, though, but I think accounting for all of them is unrealistic and beyond the confines of what I actually need to do here. So if we come in here, we've got our index HTML. This basically just sets up the web page. Then in pose detection, we're essentially, when you press that start button, right in here, let's see, we've got our start button defined in here. You come over, on click, you call init. We come over here, we've got our init function. This essentially just does some logging, and we go and grab our machine learning model. Now I actually trained this model. Let's see if I have on the Teachable machine learning website, where you can basically just take like a ton of pictures of yourself and it'll automatically train your model. And so if I wanted to get rid of this edge case where you see if I go like this or something, I don't know, there's some position where I get really close to the camera, it'll like register a valid pose. I could add more to that, but I'm not gonna. So if we come back here, we're essentially grabbing our model stored right over here, and we're loading it in, and we're setting up our webcam, and we're making the webcam look good, and this is all just setting up the webcam stuff. I don't know why I had to get rid of this, but I did, and it works. Then we essentially call this predict function and this update function. So we're updating the webcam, and then we're going to create a prediction. So during each frame, it's going to go in and say like, hey, is the person standing in the right pose or not? And if they are standing in the right pose, then we will activate our button, where we're going to activate our thing, whatever that may be, if that's like an actuator or whatever. Otherwise, we're going to deactivate it, and so that's going to be represented by turning on the green LED or turning on the red LED. And then this last step is we just draw the pose on top of the camera. That's all these dots and stuff. So then that brings us over here, and this is Node.js, and I essentially had to use Node.js because Node.js is able to communicate with our Arduino here, whereas regular JavaScript just wasn't, which kind of sucks, which means I had to do this whole setting up a server so that I could communicate between this script and this script, and I can just call these freaking functions because that's how JavaScript works. Super lame, if I'm being honest. I think this would have been way easier in Python, but this would not allow me to export my data in Python. So if we come over here, we've got const express. Anyway, basically we just set up the server, or we set up a socket, whatever the hell that is, and we pass in the server to our socket. I think our socket is what creates that communication with our JavaScript code, which actually creates that communication with the HTML. So it's not until you can activate the server, but it's not until you load in this website that socket gets connected. Then once that socket is connected, you'll come in here, it will open up the port, it'll open up the serial port, although I might have this automatically happen as soon as the server gets set up. Yeah, okay, so as soon as the server is set up, it opens that serial port, so it connects to the micro USB, and then it basically sets the socket up. Once you open up that HTML, this is the code for connecting to this microchip. So this activates that socket and will take in this data, which is, in this case, G or R. When it takes in that data, it'll call activate light with that data. And if we come down here, then activate light. If it passes in a red, it will write to the port red, or R. If it passes in green, it'll write G for green. And then if we go into our sketch, into our Arduino code, we basically are reading from the serial, and if a G gets passed in, then we write high to the green LED, and if R gets passed in, then we set the green LED to low, and we write high to the red LED. Anyway, enough of this long-winded explanation. I'll go ahead and show you this whole thing. Here we go. And then you kind of see that light turn on and off when I strike the proper pose. So if I'm coming in here, go like this, no light changed. Well, it kind of changed, but let's just ignore that. But if I do the pose, then it changes, and we have activation. If I put this hand down, does it stay? It's kind of uncertain. So I could put more data in there to really like get it to figure shit out and really know like when I'm trying to activate this versus when I'm not. Is here gonna do it? I don't know. It shouldn't, and it's not, so that's cool. So maybe I will put in more data, but the idea is that this is the pose that I really want, and I can go in and fix it up a little bit more. I could really fuck with it and just kind of go like this, and then it's gonna go back and forth for a little bit. Anyway, that's the project. Pretty cool stuff in my opinion. Have a good one, folks.